All right, Ayyjayy, big player for FaZe, and really a star player. Ayyjayy, he does a lot of great things on the pitch. FaZe had their ups and downs, if you will, during the fall split, but this one, in the first regional, we're looking at their match against NRG, and we're looking at specifically the last two games of this set. Now, FaZe, this was in the, I believe, semifinals, and they had beaten NRG in 5 games, I believe. 5 or 6 games. I have to look at it in a second, but Ayyjayy already picking up a big save. No boost here, but he's going to back up Illusion. And he's right available for Garrett's touch. Follows that one up nicely on the 50. Allows his teammate to come in. So already a clean progression from Ayyjayy. Rotates out. He's got boost, but he's immediately back into the play with plenty of boost to spare. Can't get around Squishy, but it's fine. Cutting off the play in midfield. Still got the boost, and he's going to stay right with it. And I love these kinds of plays. You'll see Ayyjayy capable of doing this a lot. We actually saw Sypical do this a good bit when we looked at him. But just being able to get up in the air and slow down the push, no one's immediately going to get up there to challenge Ayyjayy. He's still got control following it down, and even at 25, just in case someone on NRG did do something about it. Oh. Let's be honest, Ayyjayy didn't have to do anything there. That's all First Killer. All he's got to do is put that one in. That was a good setup from First Killer, and Ayyjayy just following it up. So nothing crazy from Ayyjayy in the first minute that we've seen. We will be looking at their Regional 3 performance as well after the NRG game. I'll remember what match it is when we get there, but right now, Ayyjayy just following the play and went up for that one. That's fine. He was second man. First Killer can back him up. Ayyjayy pulling wide on that one. And he ends up picking up the save there. Now, that's a deadly... I'm not going to use the word deadly. That's a dangerous situation to be in on defense. So Ayyjayy coming back. He's got First Killer up. So he punches that ball out, right? So he thinks he can go get that boost. It's not hard enough. Squishy catches it out, but it's okay. Ayyjayy can pull out of the rotation, get this boost because Illusion is rotating back. So Ayyjayy effectively turning back into the last man on the rotation, and he has to get there for the save anyway. That ball behind Illusion, but it was perfectly fine from Ayyjayy. Oh, and he just misses that read. Big clear downfield. I know that there are a couple times, if you talk to some, or not all, you know, FaZe, they definitely were a bit streaky. Sometimes they ended up tying each other up, but we're getting a little closer look at it just by looking at Ayyjayy. We're not going to poke too much at what Illusion and First Killer are doing, but just Ayyjayy and how he's affecting his team individually. So already, able to turn back around and get that boost. Still in the spot. Interesting little roll there off the ceiling. He's got no boost now. Coming back into net, or not in the net, but deep third man, no boosts. And he's immediately going to have to turn back. That's fine if you're Ayyjayy. Playing a lot deeper third man without real boost to help your cause here. Even if you go up and let's get the pen out. Even if you go up, let's say you want to go up here, you can grab this pad, maybe a third pad. It might be pretty difficult. I know FaZe, they love to let that ball come back to them and then aggress as a team. Ayyjayy, not with a lot of boost, not wanting to force the issue or overextend himself and give himself plenty of space to respond. So fine from Ayyjayy. He doesn't get that corner boost. And he's swinging wide. He's staying with the flow of the play still. So Ayyjayy's not actually leaving the play. He's ready for a quick clear if it comes, even if he has no boost. You see him even wall dash here to be ready at full speed, just in case Garrett launches that ball. Garrett won't do that, and now Ayyjayy can get back. So smart third man positioning from Ayyjayy. Gave himself enough space in a low boost situation, but didn't take himself completely out of the play. Well, he'll take that steal. He'll take that boost steal away. He'll just steal the boost and pass that ball out to First Killer. Not a bad attempt. He even gets a boost steal there. So not much happens there for Ayyjayy, but he does his job on that play. He tries to get that ball out to First Killer, and First Killer pulls off on the challenge. He even gets a demo there. So AJ coming back on the rotation from that first man assignment, coming back as third man, even creating value by getting the demo on Justin. Now he's got a little bit of boost and some space with the ball. Decides to play that one up. Just didn't have enough boost for it. He could have got that read. I mean, he did have the read, just not enough boost to punch it up. And Aleutian just going to get the goal here. But looking back at that previous play, so going the whole way back, gets the demo on Justin. Now he's got the space, gets that little pad to give himself 21. Now, he had to get around this ball pretty quickly and catch up to it. And so there wasn't really a ton he could do to get around this ball. Actually, is he going a little faster? Let's look at it one more time. So yeah, he's just trying to get around that ball fast enough. It's going to be hard to wrap it. So easier to try to go for this play where it takes less boost to try to catch that ball, turn it in, and get a solid flick on net. Instead, play it away from the defense where it's going to be harder to defend and force the defender to make a read from the corner. So AJ just didn't have enough boost to get to that one, but it still forces the defense to respect AJ's positioning because they know that AJ's capable of getting that double touch. And so Justin and Garrett wait for his touch anyway, and they get another look at it. But nothing develops out of it, but you really like how AJ pushed back and forth. I say nothing. They score right after. Wasn't the Justin DC in the second goal? You know, I actually don't remember. I didn't see the reset. I didn't see Justin stop moving, but we were watching Justin. Either way, the one part of the play Justin was relevant, at least that I saw, was the, time he got demoed. Tough spot. You got Aleutian covering the near side of the back wall just in case. Squishy makes that really awkward for AJ. And not bad positioning from AJ as well. Wanting to take that away from the rotation. So he comes across. He sees Aleutian there, so he's going to rotate near post and then turn in to the net to be able to play that ball away from Garrett and Justin. So you see how Garrett and Justin are really situated and positioned to handle, we'll just draw a box, handle a lot of what'll come anywhere around here. So AJ, with this positioning, he can try to force that ball out this way and then force Garrett and Justin to go longer across the middle of the field to be able to make a play happen. And Squishy does put this ball right in the square of him and make it awkward, so his touch isn't great, and they end up getting scored on. So, let me go back to AJ. So, that's a tough shot. He did try to flip back into it. He saved his dodge so he could recover and try to get the flip. That's not a bad attempt on the recovery from AJ. You saw he just missed that, and that comes out of a tough defensive spot off a decent shot from Squishy. Yes, the previous goal is the one he DC'd. Got it. Talking about Justin, but back over to AJ. He's going to swing back in, stay with Squishy. Thanks. And he got the 50. Forced Squishy to use a lot more boosts to force that ball out. Now AJ still going to stay back here as third man. Aleutian downfield as well. AJ got that midfield boost. Aleutian rotates out. AJ can come in. Pretty standard rotational stuff. Again, AJ back in net and in a tough spot. Ooh. And this is you're kind of driving with the flow of the play, right? You're expecting that play, or AJ is expecting this play to keep flowing, but it stops on him here with this. He doesn't kind of rotate into net. He stays along inside the box in order to follow up maybe first killer, and keeps driving out. Now he's definitely in an awkward spot after that. So no one touches the ball. Aleutian or first killer don't get to it, and AJ just looking a little aggressive on defense. And he's good enough to get to those touches, but that kind of positioning will make all the difference as to whether or not you do get that touch. So they don't get scored on, but they absolutely could have gotten scored on again. The better option there is for AJ to, instead of predicting the future on defense, or instead of driving with the flow of the play, kind of giving that, relaxing a little. Let me go back. I'm not showing you anything by doing this. But rotating back, so picking up this boost is fine, and then slowing down. So he kind of, here's what he does. Let's get the old tool out. So he just kind of keeps driving and then starts turning a little bit this way after he's already kind of by the post. but the flow of the play ends up going the opposite direction. So if he turns out a little bit, he gives himself much more room to respond to shots that come across the entire body of the box.
Thanks.
Well, let's cancel all that out. That's probably the only thing that he could fix there positionally to give himself an easier time of saving that type of shot, but then he has to back up and make up for it. First killer pulls off the ball. It's also a factor of communication or just your read on the play. He's expecting that ball to go a certain direction or first killer to get the touch, and it doesn't happen, so that's informing him on how he's positioned. AJ definitely expecting to contend with Justin there. But as soon as he goes up, Justin goes down. He's got the full boosts. Gets right there for Squishy's touch. Uses the or the chain dashes on the wall to conserve boost, but keep momentum. Critical at the pro level. And that's good setup in the second man spot by AJ as well. You're not going to clean beat the defense every time, but you can at least get there for the 50. Ooh, he just missed that. That's unfortunate for AJ. Solid positioning here still. Coming back on the rotation. He's following up Illusion, gives himself a little space. Popping over it, and he just missed it. His approach was trying to catch it on the wall, and the ball just had a little bit more velocity than, a little bit more forward velocity than he did. Vertical velocity, so he just misses that touch. We're talking inches there. And AJ doesn't miss that 8 times out of 10, so you can't look too far into a play that he's just missed it. Positioning was good, but just didn't execute. Nice little launch from AJ. Good control off the wall, and then saving his dodge to get a nice powerful shot. Might be able to trip up the defense, maybe bait an early challenge from a defender doing that as well. Probably won't be the last time we see AJ do that. Getting in front is first man. Now off the back wall. He's nuts. We can at least prevent a quick clear. Now comes right back into play. The Lucian wide. And like we talked about earlier this week, as first man, you don't always have to be in perfect position for the ball. You won't always be in perfect position for the ball. And sometimes just going for it will force the defender to go the direction you want them to. And there's Illusion trying to be nutty. AJ staying real close to this with low boosts. He gets bumped off the play, but it bought first killer time to rotate in. Now, wide third man for AJ, waiting for that play to develop. And he's able to save that shot easily from Squishy. So good patience as third man. Here's Illusion again. Or not Illusion, excuse me. AJ coming for quick follow-ups. No boost, but trying to use those chain dashes to, again, still be a threat as first man, looking for those bumps and demos. Now pushing up pretty far here. So it's being able to pick and choose your positioning, recognizing the play in front of you. First killer has control. AJ playing an aggressive third man here with technically second man with Illusion out of the play, but Illusion's still in front of him, and he hasn't rotated back. So it is aggressive positioning, but when you consider that first killer's behind the ball, Justin's still turning around, and Squishy, the highest chance for this play is for it to go over to the side like it does. And so AJ can push up and really respond quickly and do that aggressive positioning that FaZe love to get you on. Justin gets by. But having to go laterally across the field gave Illusion enough time to back up and get back in time. So AJ could still position a second man and force the defenders to feel that pressure and know that that shot could come or that challenge could come at any time. Immediately coming up. Force the defender back over. Rotate out. Now he's third man again, but immediately first man. He's got a little bit of space. Squishy bearing down on him. How does he respond? A nice little boomer. Plenty of boosts. And Justin's on that back wall, so it's going to be hard to get anything done. But the important part is you're able to follow up that touch and force Justin to keep the ball safe instead of giving it to him for free. He's just not getting the better end of some of these 50-50s, but he is staying behind that ball. Oh, taking the boost away from Illusion. Now, Ayyjayy didn't have to go for that boost. I think he definitely could have just kind of, with Illusion coming back, he's got all those pads there in front of him. Justin turns off the play. Garrett misses the ball here. Ayyjayy's already boosting forward and has decided to get that boost. But he can definitely path forward instead from that other position. So if we circle here, oh, that's the eraser. That's where he was. He comes up here.
Thanks.
He can grab. He'll have less in the tank, right? Ayyjayy wants to have a lot of boost in the tank so he can do the crazy mechanical things that we know Ayyjayy can do. But coming up in advanced position, you're still going to have about 50 or so boost instead of starving Illusion out and then forcing him to have to stay back and play a deeper third man. If instead you take this path, you have 50 boost, Illusion has 100, and you maybe can get better team plays out of this. But instead, running into each other will always not be the optimal play, if you will. Continuing on. Now Ayyjayy has to use a little bit of boost to catch up. Squishy caught the ball and killed the play, so it didn't matter. But if Ayyjayy was already in midfield with 50 boosts, maybe he can get up there and challenge Squishy a lot faster. Instead, he uses all of his boost, thinking Squishy's going to carry that, and Squishy brings it right back down. Now, there's a lot of baiting going on. We saw earlier Justin bait Ayyjayy into an aerial he didn't want, or an aerial that was purely like a pre-jump yesterday read for Ayyjayy. And that time, Squishy off the wall. I don't know if it's just because he didn't have the control, but Ayyjayy jumped real early for it and used a lot of boost. Staying upfield for first killer. A nice little flip. First killer, that's the couple of times now on that little delayed touch. Illusion dead, so Ayyjayy gonna flip forward. Boost through a couple pads. He's got plenty, and first killer didn't touch the ball, so now he looks silly. But it's fine. He rotates right back into position, and he nails the shot. So, really good progression here from Ayyjayy. Besides the earlier gaff that didn't really turn into anything. First killer doesn't get this touch. Ayyjayy's like, first, how have you done this to me? I expect you to hit that ball. How could you? But then he rotates out, and Illusion's like, I got you. And lobs it up perfectly. Garrett's too slow. Ayyjayy's still in position. And that's a product of great recovery from Ayyjayy. And great shooting as well. So let's look at game number 5. This one was this is definitely going to shine some good lights on FaZe. Because they won this game 5-0. And I don't remember who scored what goals in this game. I'm going to remember as we go. Great start on the kickoff for Ayyjayy. Can't really get anything going with that ball.
Thanks.
Slips right underneath the now first man. Justin takes him off the play. And that's just good job from Justin to break Ayyjayy up there. That could be really scary if you're Garrett. He doesn't get a perfect catch here, actually. So we look. The ball skips out ahead of him a little bit, but he still got the catch. And he tries to slip underneath that one again. He's really trying to make Garrett guess and force Garrett into a panicky 1v1 situation. But Justin takes him out of that play. Ayyjayy in a one-on-one will always be scary. And you like what he's going for there. Now, if Ayyjayy gets a cleaner first touch and that ball doesn't skip out ahead of him, he might not have to contend with Justin slipping out underneath him, and he can probably get a cleaner mechanical play. And checks for first killer, so gives first killer leeway. Still waiting. Little boosts to keep himself in, but those little boost adjustments are fine, so long as you're keep in mind of your boost total. And he never really went below 60. Stayed in the play there, just couldn't get over Justin. We back it up a little bit. So comes in front. I don't like that approach there from Ayyjayy. He kind of jumps up real high on this one, but has his car turned to the right side. But Squishy's really squared up on this ball. It's going to be hard to really win that 50. He does end up killing the ball, and FaZe get on top of it. I'm not gonna harp on him too much for that one. The boost steal from earlier, still adjusting. Full chain dash. Just keep on driving supersonic, AJ. You'll get there. You'll get there with the chain dash. Again, nice little delayed flip from AJ. That can be really off-putting as a defender. A couple people were talking about it in chat as well. But that first pop to maintain control, Garrett seeing this play go a certain way, he's thinking a very simple carry, but that quick change in momentum can really slip you up. It slips Squishy up here, and he's late to it after that little flip. Illusion tried to chase it down. But I love those delayed flicks, and another nice shot from AJ. Put a little bit of style on it. Lined himself up real nice for that shot. AJ really solid in that follow in the second man roll. I think it's not the hardest role to play. I would say it's the hardest role to excel at in Rocket League. If you excel at the second man role, most times you'll be able to keep a push alive, you'll keep pressure up, and you'll somehow win almost every follow-up, and defenses will wonder how in the world they're supposed to beat you. AJ didn't really do anything here. He didn't have to. I didn't mean to hit the back button. My bad. Can't really cry too much about what AJ's been doing in these matches. Now, granted, FaZe were literally peaking in Regional 1. And we are going to look at some other games that weren't this one. They played really well against NRG. AJ coming up. A clean catch. Not enough boost, though. And the goal happens. All thanks to AJ's carry. So, grabs the boost. A nice little bounce. Air roll left into the ball for a nice catch. Keeps his hood right underneath it. That's perfect form underneath. He does use a lot of boost to get this done, though, chasing it down. And then he gets that second touch. If he's got like 15 more boost in the tank, he could probably get over that, and that's a goal. But that's tough. You got a full field. Let's look at it one more time. Full field underneath. Uses his boost to get on the ground quickly. So he starts this with 81 in the tank. Uses about 20 to get to the first touch. So had to catch up to the ball, so he had to use a little boost to catch that one, and he still got that catch while the ball's going max velocity. Or not max velocity, excuse me. The ball's traveling beyond supersonic. The defense has to respond to AJ. That's a great carry. And a really good goal. AJ's nuts. Like, it doesn't really matter how far off the ball he is. He's just able to catch it from seemingly anywhere. Playing deep, third man, looking for some boosts. He's just going to use all of it to get to that corner. Responds to Garrett's bump with a deletion.
Thanks.
Seeing the flow, going to let Illusion come in here. And then come in tight as second man. So, good relaxation from AJ. No panic there. Knows Illusion was back. So he rotates out here. And then sees that first killer's still tied up a little bit in the net. AJ's in a quicker position to be able to turn and respond to this. So he immediately turns, his rotation's turning off the ball. If Illusion throws that ball more middle, he'll be able to respond to it. So not bad from AJ. Illusion bombed the ball downfield. He was unable to follow it up. When AJ trying to get back to his read, didn't get the cleanest touch out. He'll take his own boost. He'll wait for first killer. Now he's in a tough spot here. He's trying to stay in front of that. I like that instead of trying to get back into the lane. That's, again, recognizing the flow of the play. It's good awareness from AJ. Instead of coming back, in this situation, it could be, okay, I got to race back. It's a decent recovery, not a great recovery. He does eventually get down. Illusion's not going to get to this ball, but AJ instead knows that shot's going to come from the strong side of where the ball is. So just get in the way in front of Garrett. It does prevent him from being able to take a shot on net. Illusion left all alone. Squishy can't get the best shot, so they get away with it. Or they get out of it, rather. Coming back. NRG just missed the play. Again, the recoveries from AJ. Just going to turn right back into it. And he's used, that's a lot of boost used. That's almost like 200 used in the span of about 15 to, or not even 15 seconds, but 10 seconds. Grabs that full boost, gets underneath it. Now, does he need to use all of his boost there to get around that ball? Is that just wasteful? So Ayyjayy, as he's rotating around here, he's not exactly sure where NRG is on this play. NRG have pulled off. Whether or not Ayyjayy knows that in this moment is really unknown. He hasn't really flicked his camera around. He's been in this really tight defensive rotation. FaZe have done a good job neutralizing the ball in the corner. So he's just trying to stay in front of the ball, be quick to it, and that's the power of mixing your plays up on offense. Because here, Ayyjayy uses all of his boost to try to get that one out. We see the delayed dodge again to try to get some power behind it, but Squishy has pulled off on the play. Ayyjayy almost gets back in time for the 50, but he can't quite square it up. Now, if Ayyjayy is able to slow down right about, let's say, comes back around here, Ayyjayy gets this touch, they dive across, he gets the full boost, Justin comes around. Now, if he's able to swing his camera out to the side, just for a second, just to take a quick look, as soon as he goes up this wall, he'll know that Squishy's pulled off the play a little bit. Justin is near him a little bit, too, so he's also contending with that. Actually, how much boost does Justin have on this? Yeah, Justin doesn't have a lot, and he's out of the play. And as soon as Ayyjayy rotates back around, he sees Justin's going the opposite way. So there's definitely moments here where Ayyjayy can slow down and recognize that NRG have pulled off of this one, and he could save a lot of this boost for a much more favorable opportunity. There we go. Instead, a lot of boost. Now he's out of the play for a while, and NRG aren't able to do anything out of it. Ayyjayy can get his boost. He can get a quick clear. So FaZe are nonplussed, and Ayyjayy gets a nice little bounce shot. So might be splitting hairs with Ayyjayy. This is a 5-0 that they had, but there's definitely moments where you see some high pressure on defense, and maybe that's the only time we see Ayyjayy get a little tunnely. But so far, what can you complain about? And that's why we're going to look at some of their games in Regional 3. We're actually going to look at their games against Complexity, which was a really tight series. Back and forth again. This is pretty much garbage time for FaZe. So it's going to be hard to pick on Ayyjayy's play too much here. You basically get the freestyle for 38 seconds with how good they've been. And so that is Ayyjayy against NRG. So really, Ayyjayy, he wants to be going supersonic almost all times. He wants to be in the follow-up spot. That's his most comfortable position. He will be patient as third man if he needs to be, but if his team is in control of the play. He does want to move fast on defense if they were facing a lot of pressure from NRG. Let's see if all of that holds true here against Complexity. So we're going to look at the first two games in the first regional, or in the third regional, excuse me. FaZe drops to Complexity in 7. But Ayyjayy showing us exactly what we expected. He's nuts. He's got the mechanics. Because he loves using those mechanics, he is much more boost hungry than some of the other players we've looked at over the week. And that's just so good. It's just so good. Pops that ball up, keeps his ball cam up because he knows he needs that boost. He wants this play himself, and he knows that he can follow it up if he can get that boost. So keeps that ball cam off. He flips forward into this ball. Keeps that one off, though. Is able to get over Ayyjayy for the boost steal. Pops that one over another defender. Pops that over Raise Bolt. Makes it awkward for him to read. And then starts boosting down to get a solid touch. And it's just a perfect touch off the back wall into the net. So just a bunch of solid touches. He doesn't win that boost against Ayyjayy. That play never happens. And that delayed touch to really make Raise Bolt think about it. Ayyjayy utilizing that whenever he can to get the edge over his opponents. A nice touch. Textbook defense. Oh, that challenge did not go the way you expect. And a little light. It's a light double commit. You recovered. Not too much to whine about there. And oh my goodness, what is going on? Oh my goodness. Are they going to score? Yep, there it is. I'm not even looking at the timeline. So this all goes a little disastrously, and I think it does come from a little bit of impatience, but maybe not. First killer lands really far forward. Ayyjayy wants to follow this up. First killer's still recovering, so he's thinking he's going to have a better chance to follow this up than first killer will, and it's really just the way this 50 goes that Ayyjayy ends up landing in front of this ball. He doesn't expect that 50 to skip so far forward from Shad on the ceiling, and both him and first killer kind of get caught up a little bit. Now that is where the communication breaks down, is that little touch. Not here. Here, Ayyjayy's thinking he can recover faster than first killer, and he's very much correct there. He could probably get up a little faster than first killer, but here's the next stage in this. Okay, mistake one has happened, but you can still recover. Now communicate. Who's going for the ball? They both say me. And then they both go for it. Now, first definitely has an easier angle than Ayyjayy. So if Ayyjayy stays on the ground there, he could probably follow up this 50 a little quicker from Shad. But chances are he kind of rotates near post, and he ends up around the same position anyway. So I don't really know if that double really did much. Really, it's a solid 50 from Shad. And let's see Ayyjayy's approach on the 50-50. So he comes out instead of staying near the ramp, and Shad plays it right along the ramp to kill the whole play. So a couple moments there. Maybe if Ayyjayy has a little more patience, if someone could call somebody off on that play, and someone can be down and immediately ready, then you can follow that up a little quicker. But I really think it comes down to Ayyjayy's 50-50 against Shad. That was a poor angle. Was not squared up on the ball. Shad hit him on the near ramp. And good opportunity from Shad to get it around first killer, but definitely think Ayyjayy could have squared up a little better on that one. Misses the pass. That was a tight one. Able to steal the boost, stay in the play, use a lot of it. And I think they tied each other up more than they ended up tying Complexity up. So Boomer's going to be to Illusion. Ayyjayy sees that as a chance to get some boost, but he's back in the play. Full 100 around midfield. He sees Ayyjayy G. He says, no way.
Thanks.
Still good rotations from Ayyjayy. And that time, really good approach. Got in front of it for the delayed dodge again. A perfect pass to Illusion. And is it perfect? Is it a perfect pass? Yeah, that's a perfect pass. It's a hard pass. But you gotta keep Complexity looking. Comes right back after he grabbed that midfield boost. That's great approach there on the 50-50. Jumps in front of that, but keeps his nose square with the ball the whole time to try to either neutralize this ball or to kill it right there. First killer would likely have the first shot at it, or Illusion. Either way, Complexity or farther off the ball. And it's a decent 50 from Ayyjayy. First killer gets a demo. Ayyjayy's job's really easy. Trust first killer, and I will score. That has been a lot of these goals. Has been trust first killer, and I'm going to score. Even a couple situations where we see him trust Illusion as well when Illusion's first man behind the ball. And they get caught out a little bit here. Any way to prevent this? On the kickoff. Swings out. First killer loses that. Really tight. And you basically are between a rock and a hard place if you're Ayyjayy there. That's about as well as you can position yourself without taking yourself out of position or depleting yourself of the boost you're going to need to jump up and make that save. So that was just the kickoff didn't work out. It was a good follow-up from Complexity on the kickoff. Again, very deep third man, but FaZe now rotating back in. He sees Razebull with control. Eyed it up well, and he got another good 50 against Razebull. Swinging wide here. Razebull had to come up for it. That's a great challenge from Ayyjayy, and first killer delivers. But Ayyjayy always being ready in that follow-up man spot. First killer with tons of space. Unreal that he had that. No one able to challenge him. Razebull too far off the ball. Ayyjayy able to boost into that, and it just kicks off of Razebull's car. It's never a position you want to be in as a defender. And Ayyjayy gets a really solid touch on that ball to force the poor the poor rebound off of Razebull's car. First killer gets the goal, but again, Ayyjayy helping to pave that path.
Thanks.
Once again, another good old clear out to first killer. Complexity just pulling off the play.
Thanks.
No, first killer and Ayyjayy both going for it, and they almost score. We won't hop on that double commit too much because it was first killer, not Ayyjayy. But it could have been a turnaround for Complexity there, had things gone a little differently. Either way, Ayyjayy picking up this corner boost, still second man. He'll follow that up quickly. And Ayyjayy, again, really solid second man positioning here. He's not picking or choosing where exactly that play is going to go. He does go a little far inward here. We won't spend too long on this. A little far inward here. He doesn't go like too far in, expecting a hard pass from first killer. There's no optimistic positioning here. He's able to recover after first killer keeps that touch away from Shad and keep the play alive. But either way, Ayyjayy in that follow-up spot allows himself to follow two options, that play or that play, giving himself leeway for both. Will make things a lot easier. Shad being as far off the ball as he is also makes that decision a little easier to make for Ayyjayy. Back in we go. Bunch of small pads, but Ayyjayy wants that full canister. That's fine. I actually think a lot of these plays, there's only been a couple times where we've seen Ayyjayy take himself completely out of a play to go get boosts. This time he's coming back, and he's got the canister. Illusion got a great touch up, and another good continuation from Ayyjayy. Not the best touch from first killer, and they end up getting scored on. But not much you could really fault for Ayyjayy here. Let's take one more look at the progression. Coming in, there's no real angle for you on the 50, where you prevent a dribble out or any kind of outplay. And then up here, this is really good, getting over Ayyjayy. He almost clean beats him to the ball, but he doesn't ensure he keeps that ball dangerous in front of the box by getting over top of it. And first killer just doesn't get a solid touch. And we won't really look at his positioning, but Complexity get that goal. And we're in for a pretty lengthy overtime eventually. But yeah, I know one thing that has been a pain point for FaZe. I've been first killer and Ayyjayy tying each other up a lot. And from what we've seen so far, I think we've seen one time where Ayyjayy tied first killer up, and one instance where first killer tied Ayyjayy up. But you actually haven't seen them double commit that often, or at least double commit in situations that would put them in trouble. Ayyjayy, again, speedy, wanting to follow this one up. He never slows down, and he's able to respond so fast to that. Shad gets in front of him, but still, Ayyjayy disrupts the play, allows first killer to get set up, and Complexity, they all have to, Razebull has to rotate back. Ayyjayy has to reposition. So just those little touches, those little challenges are always going to force the defense to react to whatever you're doing in that first man position. Up high again, he sees the pass, Ayyjayy cuts it off again, and again, great awareness from Ayyjayy, not taking himself out of the play. He had plenty of boost to be able to deal with the situation, and he could cut off that pass. Love the positioning from Ayyjayy. He hasn't had a lot of space to be able to do some crazy things. He's gone, we saw him go for a couple against NRG, but I think he was feeling very comfortable in the two games that we watched. And against NRG, he had the space. NRG were willing to give a lot more space. Complexity are actually giving Ayyjayy a lot of space here. Now he's going to go for some mechanics. The very first goal of this game was fairly mechanical, but it was just a series of really solid touches. Less what he was doing with his car and more where he was placing the ball. Both important mechanical abilities, you know, ball placement off the goal, and power and precision all matter. Ooh, AJ getting demoed here. Facing a lot of threats from Complexity early. No threat really pulling off too hard. Or no threat really pulling phase too hard. AJ will let that drop with space.
Thanks.
Given off to Illusion. I think AJ gives credence to his teammates more times than not if he doesn't have the angle on the play. There's definitely been some pressure situations that he's been in. First killer gave him a little bit of space. He kicked that ball hard and out. Now, look at how AJ sees the vision on this play. Has to avoid Raise Bull in the demo. Double hops away from him. Boosts around so he can recover and get that touch. And immediately jumps back up, so good stuff from AJ. He was put into a hard space on the clear there where he had to get a couple of consistent follow-ups. And that's the other thing that makes AJ so dangerous, is even when you try to bump him, even when you try to chip him off the play, if he's got the boost, he will be able to recover. He will be able to get a precise touch out and at least make you react to him. That really, I think, is such a part of what makes AJ such a versatile player. Playing this one close. A good soft touch to first killer. Those soft touches can't be understated. Look how Complexity are really trying to box phase into the corner here. The Complexity trying to force the issue in the corner and beat you with a bunch of solid challenges here. But first killer, that first challenge comes out right over to AJ. Now AJ keeps that touch away. Raise Bull does pull up a little bit, so he's given the benefit there. But he does keep that ball away from Raise Bull and gives first killer at least a chance at that 50. Oops. Took himself a little out of that one. Not sure what happened. I would rewind and look, but we've been rewinding a lot in this specific replay.
Thanks.
We're going to let this one wind on. And AJ waiting. As soon as he knows no one's going for it, he tries to get that ball out. He forced Shad off the ball. That was good enough to give first killer a clean look at the ball. He'll take that boost out. First killer's playing aggressive here, so AJ actually going to take that second man spot as soon as Illusion puts it far side. Recovers, still forces pressure onto Complexity. First killer ends up getting that boost steal, and this is good work from AJ. Actually, let's let the whole play go before we wind it up and break it all. So AJ getting around that ball. First killer getting the demo derby in front, but this whole progression from AJ is really good. So we backed it up a little bit. So it comes around. Illusion's got the catch. AJ wants this boost. Illusion's still behind the ball. He'll beat AJG. AJ sees first killer wrap in. So first killer will be able to cover anything coming this way, essentially. Anything on this half of the field. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. So AJ is going to position aggressively here. Go back over. So he's going to pull out wide here. Any touch that Raise Bull could get here is not going to be something that AJ can't immediately turn around and follow up, or even first killer. So the lane here, the lane that you're seeing here that Raise Bull could clear, could go anywhere. The ball could go anywhere down this lane in three-dimensional space. And to which first killer will, or AJ could turn around and get that play. So the structure here on offense is really good. Illusion has control. Raise Bull's the one who has to try to force this ball off of him. And so AJ positions accordingly as a second option for a follow-up man, if you will. And Illusion gets a perfect pop. AJ's ready for it. Forces AJG to make a spectacular save. And then Shad comes in, still forcing the issue. Now, first killer is able to swing in after he forces AJG to make that save. Nobody from Complexity is on this half of the field. So first killer can go steal this boost out, take the ball away from AJG. AJG still can't win that boost. Every single one of these little things that are happening put Ayyjayy a little bit farther behind because of AJ's touch and his positioning earlier on defense. First Killer stole that other boost away from Ayyjayy. Shad couldn't follow him up, so it's just a matter of winning your 50s. First Killer stays in front of it. AJ makes him sweat, and he keeps himself big behind the ball. That's all you got to do to either neutralize that 50 or get a beneficial forward thrust right into the net. That's exactly what happens. So that's Ayyjayy. I think that we haven't seen AJ sweat a whole lot. Let's see how they do in a loss and see if he sweats a little bit more. We did see with tight rotations on defense how there could be a little bit of tunnel vision going on, but we only saw it one time. Other than that, I can't point at anything about AJ's play that tells, that I could really point as a glaring issue in his gameplay. You might point at his heavy boost usage. I think that's definitely something that Ayyjayy could work on. Is the heavy boost usage and the need for those canisters, but he hasn't taken himself out of position to go get canisters, so he doesn't feel starved most of the time. Well, how does he respond? Does Complexity actually start boost starving FaZe a little bit more here? Lucian left all by himself, but he's got plenty of space, no problem. Ayyjayy losing that follow-up. Just wanting to recover, get down quickly. Another full boost, hard clear, and why not? Why not just go for that? All right, off the ceiling again. Ayyjayy, where's he gonna go? Center field? Okay, I still have my flip. Ayyjayy believes in the power of saving your dodge whenever possible, and it bounces the ball off Complexity, and now he's got the catch and only a little bit of boost to do stuff there, but he forces the ball off of Complexity. And again, a lot of the end touches off of Ayyjayy's carries result in Ayyjayy in a 50-50, but he either boxes the defender off the ball, thus giving his teammates a little time to readjust. And there's another good adjustment from Ayyjayy. Oh, that was real tight. And you can sometimes catch Ayyjayy out as a product of him wanting to play fast and go supersonic at all times. He definitely has a idea for how the flow of the play is going on defense, and if that changes up and he's not expecting that, you could catch him out on that. That 50 right there, he gets a decent touch out back over to First Killer, and they push the ball right back in. But here is a tough spot. He tries to recover as soon as he sees Ray's Bull down. He grabbed that boost. He's not in the best spot, so Ayyjayy finds himself in the way of Illusion here, and a product of how he was rotating. So let's see. He sees Illusion in front of him. First Killer gets that first touch out. Ayyjayy gets this up in front. Ayyjayy jumps initially to challenge that, but then he sees Ray's Bull is going to beat him clean to the ball, so he immediately flips out of the play. Boosts a little bit to recover, boosts a lot to try to get back and get into position. He sees that corner boost. This is where I think seeing the corner boost actually gets you into trouble, because the flow of the play is still flowing to towards where Ayyjayy is going. So if Ayyjayy is able to get down, see First Killer's on that back wall, he doesn't necessarily have to boost down there. First Killer can respond to that ball. And instead of taking himself out of the play, or really muddying himself in the play, so yellow's where he went, he tries to flip straight into here. He uses all of his boost to get over there too. He kind of takes more of that angle. Delete that. Kind of right here. Instead, black is where he could have gone. Maybe pulling off a little bit here. You could even pick this small pad on your way back, but I don't think you need to rush it with First Killer back. Somebody in comms as well can be off as soon as Ray's Bull gets that touch, because First Killer has it. And Ayyjayy probably has a lot of boost to be able to follow up a touch here. Or with Illusion rotating back, maybe he decides to fall in behind him, or Ayyjayy, as he's been doing, morph into second man back from first man. Illusion can cover the net and rotate back in, but he won't tie Illusion's clearance angle out like he does later in the play. So I think AJ being boost hungry definitely does him a disservice here. Let's go back. Let's go to AJ. So he flips out of this, wants to get this boost. You're not really in a position to do anything favorable with the ball here, and now you look like you're blocking your own teammate's shot. They get away with it, but then it's a clear out. And maybe if the positioning is a little different, maybe that play develops differently. But sometimes that happens with an aggressive player like AJ. Or, not aggressive in that moment. I would boost hungry player like AJ is. Now he is small pad paths, keep himself in the play, and that was good work and good follow-ups from his teammate. If AJ wants to follow the play closely, he does a good job following this up here. So picks up the pad. He's not going to get the 50 off of Illusion. He's playing the follow-up. He thinks he has First Killer backing him up, but he can absolutely play this ball off of Shad. So he does get that first touch. First Killer's actually playing aggressively, so AJ does know that he has to protect this ball. So he's in a tough spot. It's an aggressive initial position that he was in. He does make the initial 50 happen. Now this looks like it's Ray's Bull who's going to get a shot on target. So Shad ends up really almost winning that 50, but Illusion able to tap that ball in the First Killer, and it's a really chaotic defensive stand. Again, First Killer was pushing up on the play. I'm not exactly sure what First Killer was seeing on the field, but AJ knew he had to cover the net. And, it was a little sweaty, but he did it. That first clear stays on the back wall, able to stay that shot, and he still had enough boost to follow this up downfield. Some good 50s, and that's, oh my goodness. He's just, what do you do? It's just perfect, man. Like, you've done all you can on offense, right? You've won every 50 in front of your box with your complexity, but the shots have never come. And then this little 50 happens, AJ's like, oh, I've done this in free play about 1,000,000 times. Look at that. Air roll into it, gets on the side of his car, so as soon as his orientation is up like this, it's a perfect carry, and AJG can do nothing about it. That's the cleanest air dribble. Cleanest ground hop air dribble you're going to get. Off that bounce. Tried to get down on that flip reset. Looked for some boost on his way out. Did he single jump? Yes, he did single jump. That's the beauty of getting a perfect first touch on using air roll left on a ground hop air dribble. I didn't see a neutral hop in there. Sometimes you'll see players do the neutral hop to stabilize if their touch isn't the cleanest, but if you get that perfect first touch, you don't need the flip, or you don't need to dodge into it again. Oh, AJ, really tough spot here on defense. Low boost situations on defense are never fun. He really wants the corner. He doesn't get it, but the play goes to the wall, so he's okay, and they end up getting scored on, though. So a lot of times, AJ here on defense. Let's see how he goes back. He's got no boost. Midfield doesn't spawn for him. What about corner? That doesn't spawn for him either. There's no boost for AJ, and he's left all by his lonesome. That's not the worst pathing if one of those boosts spawn, because you know that play is coming immediately back towards you, and you know First Killer Illusion are deep in the play. So AJ pulls far off here. He thinks, okay, I'm going to have to get on the back wall for this. The 50 comes straight back down into Shad. And so let's look at this. So this 50, I don't really like AJ getting immediately on the back wall here before the play develops in front of him. I think with what he sees in First Killer, he's definitely playing it real safe. But Illusion's not in the play. He's off the ball. You know who is in the play? Shad. So the best First Killer is going to get here is a 50-50 that either goes farther forward for First Killer, in which case AJ won't be able to respond to it. Let me draw it out. The ball goes further downfield towards the box. Or what happens here is it's just a neutral ball somewhere around here. Either way, AJ's not going to be able to follow it up. But getting on the back wall would be better if there's an immediate touch coming your way. But really, you don't know how this 50 is going to develop initially. And so trying to be proactive in this response, I think, actually makes life a little more difficult. Because now he's got to get down. He's got to defend a pass from Shad over, or an attempted pass maybe from Shad to Ray's Bull. Shad tries to put it backside to make it really awkward for AJ. He succeeds. AJ does recover into this and square up for a 50 if Shad's going for that double, which Shad was trying to follow that ball back up. Or at least look like it. But now he's out of position for this. AJ has a shot. First killer's there to back AJ up. But now AJ's just kind of in box man's no land. What is that? Box man's no land. No man's land in the box. He can't get a solid touch. He's got no boosts. He hopes the defender hits that ball into him, but he can't. So that initial positioning on the back wall, I think, informed AJ on the rest of his decision-making in that entire progression. And maybe if he pulls up a little bit and he takes more of an aggressive posture on the 50, he can grab a little bit more boost. He can follow up. It's an aggressive stance to take on defense, mind you, but maybe the flow of the play goes a little bit different for you, and you can buy at least one more chance for Illusion to get back. And we are splitting hairs a little bit, aren't we? Because AJ coming back, he knew the play was going to be coming back quickly, but he wanted the canisters instead of taking a more straight arrow path back to the box, picking up small pads on his way. None of those canisters spawned for him. And so that also contributed to the cavalcade that transpired. Yeah, not much happening. The ball away from AJ. He's not able to get up around that ball. It's a good 50. Kept a lot of that boost to get underneath it. And first killer's given the ball. They don't end up winning this, so let's see what happens. Yeah, I think if you could starve AJ a boost and get a little bit of defensive pressure on him, that's where you can start poking some of the holes. Other than that, there aren't that many. AJ coming up here, quick follow-up. Very comfortable on offense. No problems with AJ on offense. Plays a relaxed third man, aggressive but consistent follow-up second man. And I mean, what can you say about him in first man? Of course, he's a mechanical monster. They're going to let that ball drop. AJ has to defend the shot. Not too hard to read, though. AJ coming off after the kickoff. He got a demo. That means first killer. Little bit of space. And he gets the bump on the 50. AJ wants another 50 as soon as AJ doesn't get that, or AJG doesn't get that initial touch. And that, I'm not going to go back, but that initial jump from AJ was to prevent any kind of like flick clear that AJG was going to get. No boost. AJG was going to steal that from him, but he's demoed, so he'll have 33 on the return. He's going to play deep. Give first killer clearance. Force Ray's Bull out to the corner. Little bit of boost to stay in position with Illusion, but Illusion couldn't hang on to the ball. Ray's Bull took it off of him. Now, second man to first killer. AJG getting every single touch, but Illusion comes behind it. Complexity have pulled off the ball. Pretty aggressive spot here for AJ. As third man with not a lot of boosts, with how far off they were on the ball. There they are again. So you can aggressive positionally as a third man. If you know you're going to have a teammate rotating out pretty soon, and you know there isn't an immediate clear coming. AJ gets around that. Illusion doesn't get a touch, so now he's got to wait for Ray's Bull. And he gets back down. Good little feather. He does make life pretty difficult. If you ever want to air dribble the ball against AJ, or you ever want to try to out-mechanics him, he's immediately up in the air. He's there to challenge you. Even here, aggressive. He's just going to jump for it. FaZe know that they've been pressing, and they've been winning a lot of these balls in front. A lot of the boost has been theirs. First killer diving in front. Really good high-pressure opportunity. AJ rotating immediately back in. They don't score. Complexity, solid defense. But the aggressive positioning from FaZe also really forced them to stretch. There, AJ got the boost. Now he's got a return. He sees Shad. That ball kicks out hard, so Illusion doesn't end up getting a touch here. That's also kind of frozen FaZe a couple of times. Another nice 50 for Ayyjayy. Do I like that follow-up touch? Do I like Ayyjayy taking that ball? Yeah, I don't like Ayyjayy taking that ball. AJG's there to defend. It's probably a save. Either way. We won't look too long at it. Good touch from Ayyjayy again. Getting that ball underneath the challenger. Feathers into Shad. And gave Illusion a little bit of space. So while they don't win the 50, right? The point is, Ayyjayy, as first man, will give an opportunity to Illusion to at least make a play on the ball. It's not a free play for complexity anymore. That's why those first man disruptions are so important. Ayyjayy still following the play fluidly. He'll get another boost. As long as Ayyjayy's in control of these canisters, it's GG. Got enough boost to challenge RaiseBull. And he's pushed right back over to his own half. He's got plenty of paths to make up for the boost he used to get here, so no problem. Now got the air dribble, kept it close. He's got the 50. They don't score, but it's a good initial attempt from Ayyjayy. You love plays like this. Ayyjayy keeps this away, knows he's got RaiseBull to contend with on the back wall. So the product of having great mechanics is he pops this ball close. Now respond to me, RaiseBull. This is our AJG. This is off the ceiling. Got the flip reset, but he forces the 50 against AJG, who came out to challenge him. RaiseBull in an awkward spot. That ball doesn't go in, and FaZe don't really have an angle to get in there. Either way, though, it did keep things going, and a good opportunity. Ayyjayy trying to create an opportunity with his mechanics because he's a monster. And it was the end of regulation. Another long ball for first killer. Ayyjayy going to chase it down. Force a 50 out the first. Ayyjayy wanted to stay in, maybe a little too long. And Shad ends up scoring. Now, if Ayyjayy doesn't stay downfield here, is it possible that he could have saved this? We might be looking too far into the future. That's a good 50. First killer wanted that pass, so that's why Ayyjayy turned up. Now Ayyjayy commits to this. So if Ayyjayy doesn't commit and he instead just flips back immediately, instead he has to recover, right? First killer looks like he's in a better position with that ball. I actually don't think Ayyjayy does get back in time. It's hard to say. Shad is already so far down the field that he can get that read down whenever. So